Dear students, today I am going to present unit number 14 from grade 11, that is hydrocarbons and their derivatives. That is third term lesson. I think it is very important lesson, and when you get the 2017 and 18, they ask the questions in the essay part. So, but this lesson is somehow short compared with the other lessons. So I try to get an idea to give an idea about the hydrocarbons. So you try to get the maximum use of it. So let's see what are hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbons, according to this term, they are the organic compounds. They are organic compounds, mainly they have a carbon. Then the hydrocarbon means that mainly they contain carbon and hydrogen. So carbon and hydrogen containing organic compounds we call hydrocarbons. Here among our daily users, we use so many types of hydrocarbons. Here when you get the candle, in the candle wax made out of hydrogen and carbon, and when you get the biogas here, from this type of marshy lands, we can see the bubbles coming. They are the biogas. Methane contain carbon and hydrogen, and you get the LP gas. LP gas is a mixture of butane and propane. They are the hydrocarbons, and the kerosene also hydrocarbon, and diesel, petrol or firewood, they all contain hydrocarbons. So we know everywhere we use hydrocarbons. So let's see how we recognize, how we test carbon and hydrogen present in such compounds. So let's see the experiment and how we determine these carbon and hydrogen present in the hydrocarbon. Let's see that. Here, this is the recognized practical for you. Here for that, in the source of hydrocarbon, we use the candle. Once you use the candle and burn it and connect to this kind of setup. And here you can see YouTube and with the anhydrous copper sulfate. I think you know what the color should be, anhydrous copper sulfate, that is white in color. And the next thing you can see the another test tube containing lime water. Lime water also normally colorless solution. Here you can see this is a colorless solution. And once you burn this candle, what happened? Burning process, hydrocarbon burn with oxygen and they release carbon dioxide and water. We know these are the end products. What will happen? Once these carbon dioxide and hydrogen both are in gaseous state, they passing through this tube. Then what happened? You can see the water beaker here. Then from the water beaker, water can absorb heat from the incoming carbon dioxide and the hydrogen gas. And here the carbon dioxide here, hydrogen converting into water. Now water coming here, hydrogen combine with oxygen and form water. Now water passing through the anhydrous copper sulfate. Then what will happen? If the water is coming, this colorless anhydrous copper sulfate converted into hydrated copper sulfate. So it become blue in color like this. Initially colorless, then it absorbing water become this color blue color. It means water presence there, right? Likewise, you can recognize water here. How we get the water? By hydrogen combined with oxygen. Likewise, we can confirm the presence of hydrogen. And the next step here, you can see the lime water container. Lime water normally colorless. Now, if the lime water there, you can learn that test from the grade, even in the grade 6, if the lime water there, that can easily react with the carbon dioxide. If the carbon dioxide react with lime water, it turns into milky color. Likewise, here you can see the milky color, right? Then there's a aspirator. If the vacuum or the aspirator they efficient the process, removing the other air, then efficient this process, right? That's a simple experiment to recognize carbon and hydrogens are the elements in any hydrocarbon, right? Now I want to ask another question regarding this test. How do you increase this rate? In this experiment, suppose you want to increase the rate. One is already we added, that is we connect into the aspirator. We remove the air, then easily we can suck the incoming air. And another one here, now you can see the water bath. If you get the water bath with the ice cubes, then we can increase the rate. Because ice is very low temperature, it can easily absorb heat. You remember these are the two ways you can increase the rate of reaction in this test. Okay, now you got an idea about hydrocarbon. Let's see what are the different types of hydrocarbons. Here we can classify hydrocarbon in different ways. Actually, in A-level chemistry section, you have organic chemistry. In the organic chemistry, you can learn the different classification of hydrocarbon. But in O-level, just to know the one side of the hydrocarbon, we call what we call open chain compounds. Open chain compounds, or the normal simple organic compounds. They are basically three types. We call alkane, alkene and alkynes. Again, alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. Actually, we give these names according to the number of bonds or the type of bonds. In the alkane, you can see all the bonds are single bond. Actually, it is called saturated one, completed. And alkene means among the carbon atoms, they have a double bond. And third one, alkene. Alkene, second, alkyne. Alkyne, A-L-K-Y, alkyne. Among the carbon, there's a triple bond, 3. Here double and single. Likewise, according to the bond between carbon, you can name them. Again, alkane, alkene, alkyne. Right? Out of them, you learn about the alkane, and after that you can get into the alkenes and some derivatives coming from the alkenes. Not going to learn about the alkynes. Right? Okay, let's see some types of alkanes here. Alkanes. Here you can see the very simplest type of alkane here. 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen. This is called methane. Next one we get 2 carbons and you put all the hydrogens around it. We know around 1 carbon there should be 4 bonds. Valence is 4, right? So second one C2H6 we call ethane. Third one 3 carbon and 8 hydrogen. This is called propane. Next one 4 carbon you call butane. Here C4 and H10. Getting to the number 5, that is 5 carbon here we call pentane. 5 carbon and 12H. All are completed or saturated. Likewise, at least you should know from 1 to 5. That is enough for your syllabus, right? Here, actually, when you get these formulas, these are the formulas of alkanes. Here you should know what is the general formula, common formula for each. Here when you get 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen, that means this number of carbon is greater than twice plus 2. Here this one also the same, no? C2H6, right? So we can write the formula, common formula for alkane. What is that? CnH2n plus 2, right? Suppose 1 carbon, then hydrogen here, 2 plus 2, that means 4, CH4. That's the simplest alkane. Likewise, this is the formula of any alkane, right? Okay, that's enough for alkane general formula. Let's see again, you can see the general physical state of this alkane, some of them. Here you can see methane. Simplest one is methane. The structure you can see here, that is a gas. Normal in room temperature, it is a gas. Ethane also gas. And propane, a gas. Butane, a gas. Then but pentane and hexane, they are in liquid state. They are liquid. But you can see 2 star here. 2 star marks. I put the 2 star marks here to indicate one important point here. Why? Here when you get the propane and butane, you should know very important gases. Why? When you get this one, LP gas, liquid petroleum. In the LP gas, here you remember the first one? Here in the first diagram, here LP gas, this is a hydrocarbon. When you get the hydrocarbon LP gas here, it is a mixture of gases. that mainly contain these two gases, two alkanes. They are propane and butane. So you remember these two. When you get some MCQ questions in the O level, they already asked these questions. What are the gases? Main gases in the LP gas. They are propane and butane, right? Then let's go to the next one. Next one, second types of alkanes. Second type of organic compounds in our syllabus, they are the alkenes. Alkane already we did. Now alkenes. When you get the alkenes among the carbon-carbon, if there's a double bond, they are alkenes. Alkenes. So you know the basic one is the ethene. Single carbon we can't get, no, at least we need the two. So the general formula here, among two carbons here, hydrogen number should be twice. So CnH2n, that's the general formula of alkene. Alkane, already we got that, you remember that, CnH2n plus 2. Now in alkene, CnH2n, right? Okay, now you know the alkene. When you get the alkene, this is ethene. Ethene, very important one. Later on you will be realized why I said this is so important, alkene, right? When we get to the next part here in our book, we have to discuss one important process. I know already in the grade 9 also some part already we have done. What is that? That is polymerization. Oh, how do you form polymers? When you get this word, poly mean many, right? Getting a small ones, we get a very big one, big molecules or complex one. So the small type, simple types ones we call monomers, and getting a very big chain or the large complex, that is we call polymer. So this process we call polymerization, right? Then when you get the polymerization process, here in the polymerization, and the first one you can get, the first polymerization is forming polythene. Here according to that term you can guess the initial simple method. What is that? Here polyethylene we call polythene, right? Here under high temperature and the high pressure, once you complex them, we can get the polythene by ethene. Large number of ethene molecules getting in high temperature and the pressure, you can form polythene. We all know polythene very well. Everywhere now we use polythene, right? So the depend on this number, n number, we have the different types of polythenes, right? Okay, now when you get the polymerization process, we have to use three different terms. You remember these definitions here, right? The first one, initially we need this basic compound. Here you can see that is normal, this structure is the ethene. So that is we call monomer. And after that, finally, initially you watch that, you get this kind of structure, that is the polymer. In ethene, that is called polythene, right? In between, getting into this final step, we first in the process, we have to break this double bond, and likewise, we connect these all molecules together, large in number. So, in this kind of structure, we call repeating unit. Repeating unit means large number of these kinds of molecules together we get this polymer. So, this structure we call repeating unit. So in the paper, if they ask to draw the monomer, you draw this kind of one. If they ask the repeating unit with this kind of three bonds, you have to draw. In the monomer, this is this structure repeating, and the polymer, you definitely put the bracket and write the N here. N means that is any number there, right? Here definitions are given. Polymers, very large molecules formed by linking together large number of molecules. Then monomers, simpler structure. Unit, repeating basic structural unit, right? Likewise, here these are the definitions for these three terms. Okay, now let's see when you get the ethene. Ethene is the basic alkene. Based on the ethene, we can get another derivatives. New word for you. Derivatives mean Here, instead of these hydrogen atoms, we can substitute another atoms. By substituting another atoms for the hydrogens, we can get new compounds. They are called derivatives. Let's see some of them. Here, when you get PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Here, PVC is standard for polyvinyl chloride. Here what is polyvinyl chloride? Here now you can see this structure. This is same as ethene, but one thing is different from others. Here you can see three black atoms and one purple here. One purple means that is chlorine. So replacing one hydrogen we put chlorine here, right? So this structure we call vinyl chloride. You get the vinyl chloride from the ethene. So that's why we call that is a derivative from ethene, right? Again, same as the polythene, we get this polyvinyl chloride or PVC, right? Not only that, here PVC, later on we can see the uses of PVC and all that. Until then, let's see the next one. Here now you can see here all four hydrogen replaced by four fluorine atoms. This is called tetrafluoroethene. Tetra means four fluorine atoms substitute with this place of hydrogen. So this is structure of the tetrafluoroethene. Getting large number of them, we form polytetrafluoroethene, we call PTFE or non-stick layer, right? Likewise, we can get the derivatives. Here again, this is the PVC monomer and this is the monomer of the Teflon. Generally, we call Teflon, right? Here, then these are the so many plastic items, right? Natural, artificial ones, sorry. And then next one, you get the PVC, polyvinyl one in the gutters, right? And so many things you can see where we use PVC. PVC is a now very important part. And next one here, I want to highlight one point here. The PVC tubes and this kind of iron tubes, canals. Actually, why? When you think about these places, now when you get the normal day-to-day activities, in large scale we use PVC ones rather than these iron tubes, iron cables. Why? There's a reason. Initially in the ancient or the past we use large in scale, we use this iron one. But later on, once we get into the polymerization and getting into the PVC, now we replace these iron cables by PVC. Why? We know irons are heavy and easily get rusted. In this picture, even in the picture also you can see the rusted one. So that's a main problem, right? And highly expensive iron ones compared with the PVC. And the durability is also PVC is higher. In this one is somehow rust due to the rusting. Again, repairing also too difficult. One person can't. This side one person can easily handle, but due to the heaviness they can't. Right? Likewise, you think about that side also. And the next thing here, that's another extra point for you about the Teflon. The Teflon, that substance is also a very important one. When you get these non-stick matters, we use them in the as a cooking utensils. We have so many items there. That also founded the founder Plankton in 1938 recently. That's a founder of the Teflon. Teflon also polymer, right? And the next one here, now you get an idea about the polymers and the polymerization all. Then when you get the polymerization, we discuss the synthesized one. But you should know in naturally also we have the polymers. They are called natural polymers. Natural polymers without involve of human being, right? When you get the starch in our body, we have a starch, and the food substances, they have a starch, and the plant, they have a cellulose, and the protein, and our body parts, hair, skin, right? And the DNA, RNA, rubber, all are natural things. They are natural polymers, right? And the other side, when you get the natural polymers, we should know what are the advantages of natural polymers compared with artificial one. We need the artificial matters, but we should know what are the bad effects of artificial polymers. Here, these are the artificial, no? Polythene and nylon and terylene and rigiform, right? All these are bakelite here, bakelite also. All these are natural one. All these are natural polymers. Sorry, artificial polymers. All these are artificial polymers, right? And then when you get the advantages, why we have to think about such natural polymers than the artificial? Because these natural ones, they have an advantage. Why? They are really natural, no? If the natural ones, they really biodegradable one, not remain, not residues in the environment, right? No any acidic, no toxic, right? That's the main reason. That also help for all the recycling process, all the cyclic process, all the maintaining also helpful because of this degradable nature, biodegradable. But when you get the artificial matter, here these artificials, we know we like to use these things because of their some properties. But natural artificial things, they remains. They are not biodegradable. So we try to produce somehow degradable matters, but that is still a too difficult task, right? That's a one side, natural and artificial. Let's see another important section in the hydrocarbon lesson, that is about what? Rubber. We know rubber also very important thing, and you should know from where you get that rubber. Rubber is a huge tree, right? From that tree, from the stem, from the bark, you can get the milk. From the rubber milk, or the we call latex, rubber latex. Once you collect them and get into the factory, we can get the so many products. In our country, in Kalutara, Agarwata, there's a rubber research institute. From there, once you went there, you can see so many processes there, say categorizing the types of rubber, all that, right? Very nice place. If you have a chance, go there and watch it, right? And let's see really what's the compound in the rubber. In the rubber, here in the rubber made out of this kind of compound we call isoprene. Isoprene, right? Isoprene, you remember the structure, that is important. Here in this structure you can see 5 carbon, 1 2 3 4 5, and there are 2 double bonds. This is the monomer. Actually, normal rubber means it's a polymer. When you get the monomer, monomer is this structure. This is called isoprene. Isoprene. Here, how they form a polymer, or what is the polymerization process? How it happens? During the polymerization process, the first step here, we can see breaking of these 2 double bonds, and they form a new bond in between these 2 carbons. That's a new double bond here. So this is the repeating unit here in the rubber. So next one you can see this is the isoprene structure we discussed. In the high normal structure here, you can see this normal, that is the monomer. Monomer become the natural rubber, that's a polymer, natural polymer. You can see double bond coming in between these 2 carbons, right? You remember the way. Again, the way here, you have to break these 2 double bond and put them into in between these 2 carbon, right? Likewise, we can get the structure of the polymer. That is also without putting in, we can say that is our repeating unit, right? And the next problem, though you discuss the isoprene and the natural rubber, directly if you use this normal rubber, they are not durable, not strong, not hard, right? If you directly use this normal natural rubber, that is useless. We can't apply in so many cases. So we try to enhance that quality. So how we do that? We have to get the vulcanized rubber. What's that? Vulcanized rubber means you get the sulfur. You know what's the sulfur? Is a non-metal yellow color compound. Get the sulfur and heat with the sulfur and the natural rubber. So we can see vulcanized rubber. Vulcanized rubber. Here actually during this process, actually how it forms. You can see in this figure, they form a link, cross link between the 2 molecules. among the molecules, they form the bond with sulfur. Likewise, this is called vulcanized rubber. Vulcanized rubber is strong, durable and hard. That's why we use vulcanized one than another. Especially in vehicle tires, we need vulcanized rubber. And the next one here, when you get these polymers, right? Here the polymers you can classify in the different ways. One way already we discussed. What is that? That based on the origin. Based on the origin mean you learn. That means the natural polymers and the artificial polymers. Then the next method here, again you can classify the polymers based on the structure. What is that? Based on the structure mean like this. When you get the polymers, you can see this kind of chains are there. All are straight line paths or linear paths. That is called linear polymer. Don't worry about the whole structures here. Just remind this kind of one we call linear polymer. And next B. What's the second one? You can see main one here, main structure connect with the other small branches. That is called branch chain polymer, or the we call side chains, polymers with side chains, this one. And I highlighted again this one. Why? Here this formation we call cross-linked polymers. Cross-linked polymers. In the cross-linked polymers, that's also important. Why? You already learned that part under the rubber. In the rubber vulcanization, we use sulfur in between these cross-links. Already you studied that, right? That's why you remember in the vulcanized rubber, you can see cross-linked polymers. So when you get the classification of the rubber, or the polymers, rubber, vulcanized rubber, you put into the cross-linked polymers, right? Okay, let's see where we started vulcanization and what is vulcanization. Again, I put some points for you, right? Here vulcanization already we know that is mixed with the sulfur. Actually, who introduced this method? That name is named after the Roman god of fire Vulcan, right? The invented here Charles Goodyear. I think this name is familiar for you when you get the tires, vehicle tires. That is the name as Goodyear tires, Goodyear, right? And the advantages, this method is simple. Right, and other thing here, we can use them for a long period of time, durable and hard, right? And the users, these are the users in the boots and the belt, right? And so many places we use vulcanized rubbers than the normal natural rubber, right? Likewise, we know the user. I think you got an important ideas about the hydrocarbon and the polymerization and the practicals and the vulcanizing, all that. And finally, I want to highlight some points here. These are the, I put forward some questions from the 2017 and the 18 from the new syllabus. You go to these questions and check whether you can get the answers. I think definitely you can get the answers. Before completing this, I want to beg one thing from you. That means thoroughly you go through this. This lesson is a very simple one. Another thing, here once you learn something from this lesson video, I think that's my target. This is the third term lesson. Another one, once you watch my video, don't remember, try to put the comment regarding this lesson, and at the same time here I put the link and you subscribe on this. Thank you.